Subject English. Topic The Two Merchants of Seri. Standard 3rd. Hello student, I am Meera Singh and today we are going to learn an interesting topic. So let's begin. Lesson number 23. The Two Merchants of Seri. So student, let's begin with our lesson. So student, before starting our today's topic, I would like to ask you a few questions. So, my first question is, where does your mother go to buy vegetables? Tell me the answer, student. Yes, mother goes to buy the vegetables from the vegetable market. Yes, correct, student. Now student, the next question is, what do people give in return of goods they buy? People give the cost of the items in rupees. Yes or no student? Yes, correct. Once upon a time, in a place called Seri, there lived a merchant. He went from town to town selling pots and pans and other things made of brass and tin. So, student, one day in Seri, two merchants came to sell their pots and pans. Merchant means, student, a person or company involved in wholesale trade. He travelled every day with another merchant who also sold brass and tinware. So, they both were selling same types of pots and pans. So, they began to think of how they would sell the same type of pots and pans in the same town. Now student, let's see the meanings. First, brass. Bright yellow metal made by combining copper and zinc. Greedy. Greedy means showing an intense and selfish desire for wealth or power. Merchant. A person or company involved in wholesale trade. When two merchants went into a town to sell their goods in the same lane, student, since they both had same types of pots and pans, they wondered if it would be profitable for them to sell their goods in the same lane. But one of the merchants suggested that they divide their lanes to sell their goods in a profitable way. Second merchant thought it was a brilliant idea. Then both of them went to different lanes to begin their sale by calling out that their pots and pans for sales. People came out to their doorstep and bought or traded with them. Student, having heard their voice, people came out to trade with them. In those days, people did not always use money to buy things. Sometimes they exchanged things of the same value. So, student, in those days, money was not essential to buy goods. People would exchange their goods for the same value. In one house, there lived a poor old woman and their granddaughter. The family had once been rich, but now the only thing they had left of all their richness was a dish made of gold. So student, in the same village, an old woman and her granddaughter lived together. They possess a dish which was made of gold, but they did not know the original value of that dish. However, the grandmother did not know it was a golden dish. So, student, the dish stood on a shelf among the other pots and pans and was not often used. Meaning, street, a public road in a city, town, or village. Then, business, a person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. The third one is shelf, a flat length of wood attached to a wall. Now, one of the merchants passed this house, calling, "Buy my water jars, buy my pans, buy my tinware." The granddaughter said, "Oh, grandmother, do buy something for me." So, student, one day one of the merchants passed the old woman's house and calling out, "Buy his goods." The little girl heard the voice of the first merchant and wished to buy some goods from him. So she called her grandmother out to buy shiny pots and pans. "My dear," said the old woman, "we are too poor to buy anything. I have not anything to trade even." "Grandmother, see, I have found this dish among other pots and pans on the shelf." So grandmother said, "We have no money or goods to exchange." But the little girl inquired from the grandmother that, "Can we sell the dish because we are not using it?" The old woman called the merchant and showed him the dish, saying, "Will you take this, sir, and give the little girl her something for it?" So grandmother called the merchant and showed him the dish. The merchant took the dish and scratched its side with a needle. He came to know immediately that it was a golden dish. As soon as the merchant scratched the dish, he realized it was made of gold. Now, student, let's see the meaning. Scratched. Mark the surface of with a sharp or pointed object. Second, immediately. As soon as or instantly. Number 3, needle. A very thin object that has a sharp point at one end and a hole for thread. He threw the dish on the ground and went away. The crafty merchant was planning to come back. So, as soon he realized it was made of gold, the crafty merchant threw the dish and pretended that it has no value. But the greedy man decided to buy the dish even for a less value. After a while, the another merchant finished the rounds of his streets and entered the street where the old lady lived. So, after a while, another merchant entered the same lane where the old woman lived and called out the goods. The little girl heard him and begged her grandmother to see what this merchant would give for the dish. So the little girl wanted to show the dish to the merchant. So she convinced her grandmother to show that dish to the merchant. Now student, let's see the meaning. Riches means wealth, valuable things. Crafty, cunning, clever but dishonest. begged, requested, wares, articles or things for sale. My child, said the grandmother, the merchant who was just here threw the dish on the ground and went away. But, grandmother, said the girl, this one looked pleasant. So the little girl said to the grandmother that ask him, perhaps he'll give us something for it. As soon as the merchant took the dish in his hands, he knew it was of gold. Immediately he said, this is a golden dish. When the merchant got the dish, he immediately scraped the dish and he came to know that the dish is made of gold. The old woman was greatly surprised. She was impressed by the honesty and goodness of the merchant. When the honest merchant said that this is worth more than all my money and pots, grandmother was surprised by hearing that. She was impressed by the merchant's honesty. The honest merchant kept all his wares and money with the old woman and took the dish. Grandmother gave the golden dish to the honest merchant. In return, he gave all his goods and money. After some time, the greedy merchant went back to the house where he had seen the golden dish. So, after some time, the greedy man came back to offer a few of his goods for the value of a golden dish. No, said the grandmother. You said the dish was worthless, but another honest merchant has paid a great price for it. The grandmother replied, you told that the dish is worthless for you, so now I am not willing to give you the dish. She was already sold the dish to the honest merchant. The grandmother did not accept the first man since he has cheated her. Answer the following. Question 1. Where did the merchants live? Answer. The merchants lived in the place called Seri. Question 2. What did the merchants sell? Answer. The merchants used to sell pots, pans and other things made of brass and tin. Question 3. What did the honest merchant pay to the old woman for her golden dish? Answer. The honest merchant gave all his wares and money to the old woman for her golden dish. Now, there is a homework for you. Find the name of the following metals from the lesson. So, number 1, B. From B, we have brass. So, like this, you have to do the rest one. Make new words that end with less. So, here the question is given and you have to write the answer. So, the first one is worth. So, the answer is worthless. So, you have to write less at the end of that word. So, the next one you have to do by your own. Thank you, student. Keep learning.